Backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, if it's Tuesday, that can mean only one thing, and it means it's time for Comic Book School Live, the place where you go for the craft and business of making comics. You know, generally, we will talk about how you, as a comic book creator, either starting off your career, some point in the midpoint, or somewhere old like me, can go to the next level, do something cool and creative. But you know what? We found something cool and creative, and we wanted to share it with you. And by we, I mean me and my good-looking friend, Mike the Knife Fasolo. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, if you're joining our show for the first time, my name is Buddy Scalera. I am the founder of Comic Book School, where we do, what do we do, Mike? We do the craft and business of making comics. I've published 6 books on the topic of making comics. I've written many, many comics for Marvel Comics, including Deadpool and other things like that. And Mike is let's see if we can get the picture up just so we can prove it, because it is very important, Mike. Mike is a 3-time Emmy Award-winning television writer. Let's get the cheering and clapping back on. There you go. There you go. You know, the switching on this, you can't like use a button. You got to mouse everything on, and we pay for this. We pay for this.
You know, that's what you got to do.
Speaking of getting,
what you got to do to be popular, bud.
Yeah, speaking of getting paid for being creative, our guest now is going to show us what it's like to build a career doing really interesting and exciting things. Mike, you turned me on to this creator. His name is Wheezy Waiter. Actually, yes. That's not his given name. I think that would be a cool name, though. But you turned me on to him, and I was like, well, let's check him out. And he's really good. And he's on for a special reason. Mike, I think we already have comments coming in. So before we bring our guest in, what do we got?
I'm pretty sure at least one of those is a pencil sharpener.
What's a pencil sharpener?
One of those. I don't know what he's talking about. The things we do, I don't know.
Is Glenn still commenting from last week's show or something? Anyway, look, Mike, we don't want to keep him waiting in the green room because it's awfully lonely back there. Please welcome Wheezy Waiter, Craig.
Hello.
Craig, our audience welcomes you.
Oh, thank you. Wow. I didn't know you have a studio audience in there?
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
They go for a long time.
They do, and I can just cut them off like that.
Oh my God.
Craig, you are you're an exciting guest, especially for Mike. Mike's been watching your show for a while. He's been like, you got to watch this guy. He's so funny. And Mike sends me things, and I'm like, I don't.
He ignores me.
I generally ignore Mike, and I've been friends for 100 years.
Well, you know what? Thus far, I've ignored Mike as well. So, yeah.
Which is the right answer. But Craig, you join us. Craig, your real name is Craig Benzine, and you do. There you go. Russ must obviously know about you as well. Craig, you do a very popular YouTube channel. I'm going to pull it up really quick here because just saying that you have 1.14 million subscribers doesn't really do it justice. You have to actually see the number. Look at that. 1.14 million subscribers, 1.6 thousand videos. And I got to tell you, it's not just that. Like, you are multimedia. You are like everywhere, which I am just astonished by. You are the modern definition.
I rarely leave my basement.
Yeah, well, you are like the modern content creator, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm old. I feel like I'm the old man on the block these days.
Craig, you are, I have to tell you, you're the show that Mike and I dreamed we would be.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Clever, funny, lots of cuts and different things like that, doing things. We'd be interesting and have followings, and we are none of that.
Instead, it's just us.
We just decided to have you come on.
Not yet.
Not yet. Hopefully.
Yeah.
By the way, Craig, we will bring it up. You have your 7 tips video, and I'm not sure when you did that, but I think it is the video that everyone in our audience is going to need to watch. But first, we need to know a little bit about you. How did you get started making videos? I mean, I know that you're a musician, and obviously, you have a secret history. So tell us the secret history.
The history. Well, it's not really secret. I think I've probably said it a bunch of times on the internet, but I started waiting tables in downtown Chicago. Okay, so way back, my band met in college, Madison, Wisconsin. We decided we're going to move to Chicago to, I don't know, make it as a band, which is something no one was doing in the early 2000s. But we decided to try. So then I waited tables downtown Chicago while we were trying to do that, and didn't use my communication arts, radio, television, film degree at all. Just waiting tables, trying to be in a band. And back in my mind, I always thought, like, what if I made a movie every day? Back then I called them movies because referring to it as a video wasn't a thing.
Fair enough.
And just like put it on the internet. And this was like right around when YouTube was first starting. And I came across this video creator at the time. His name's Zay Frank. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh yeah.
He was actually running BuzzFeed Video for a while. But he long before that, he made a video every weekday, and he put it out on something called Blip TV, not YouTube. And so I started. I saw that. I'm like, it can be done, and that's what inspired me. So my style at first was it was kind of similar to what he was doing. Very quick cuts, very dumb comedy. That's just nonsense comedy. Like the first like 10 years of my channel is just very short, dumb nonsense comedy. It's like inside jokes, a lot of like, I have clones of myself, a lot of, it's not really like what I make it now. Although, I mean, it's still there. The humor is still there, but what I make now is a little more purpose driven.
The clones are still there.
Oh yeah. Clones are there. Not as much, not nearly as much.
20-year-old self is still there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just started, and for like the first 3 years, I was making videos to nobody. Like it was just friends. I always say this, like the first 100 videos I made them to 32 subscribers. And eventually I could go, I don't want to go into too much boring detail, but like around 2009, I have found an audience. My channel started to grow a little bit. And then I made an ultimatum to my audience. I said, hey, if in the end of this month I can get 100,000 subscribers, I think I had like 10,000 at the time.
100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I think I had 10,000 at the time.
Ooh, 10,000.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Living
a nice number.
I said, I will make a video every weekday for the rest of the year.
Wow.
And I didn't get 100,000 by the end of the month, but I did get up to 40,000 because some other bigger YouTubers at the time promoted me. And then I just continued anyway. And for the rest of that year, I did make a video every weekday. And then like halfway through that year, I think it was 2009, I got up to about 70,000 subscribers, quit my job, and just did it full time ever since.
Mike, Craig is literally reading out your dream.
Yeah, living my
Where
dream.
you stay home,
live in the basement, and just quit my job.
Yeah,
and, make videos.
Sure. Yeah, but then and then it was amazing. That was like, I would call that the golden age of YouTube. It was like it was just nonsense. I could just make whatever I wanted, just try to be funny. That's all I was trying to do, and then after a while that kind of stopped working. YouTube kind of changed, and so and my channel was dying for a little while, and for I'd say about 5 years I was like kind of stagnant And then about 2018, I made a video called "We Quit Sugar for a Month. Here's what happened." And me and my wife quit sugar. It's the longest video I'd made up to that point. It was like 10 minutes, longest by far. And that video made it to the front page of Reddit and blew up beyond my wildest dreams. Like I did not expect. And that is by far my most successful video to date. And that was when I started. I think at that point I was at about 500,000 subscribers, which I was at for like 5 years with no growth for a long time, which, you know, it wasn't bad. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it was a little frustrating. Like I was losing audience basically.
Well, the algorithm, right? The algorithms change and they purge and they do things, right.
Yeah. And then, but then from that point on, that's when I started climbing, getting closer to that 1 million subscribers that you mentioned.
Million subscribers. Mike, we have some comments coming in.
We do have some comments. I wanted to let Craig finish this thing. What Glenn was talking about was the Emmys. He thinks they might be pencil sharpeners.
No, Mike's Emmys are indeed real, Glenn. They are real, Mike. Just as a real point of reference, Craig, Mike is a TV writer.
Oh yes, I know. I'm Robot Chicken, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I enjoy Robot Chicken, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right. Mike enjoys
all the stuff that you laugh at. That's all my stuff.
Stuff that you didn't think was funny was someone else's stuff.
All right.
So if you guys are joining right now, look at this. I made something cool. Look at this. If you're joining now, we're on with Craig Benzine of Wheezy Waiter. But Craig, you had done something very interesting, and Mike sent me the video, which is what triggered this invitation. Mike, what you want to tee it up for us?
Yes, as I was watching one of Craig's videos on how he was done with Twitter, I believe it was.
Yeah.
He mentioned briefly that you were getting into comics.
Yeah. I was starting to, and I want to make a video about it. Yeah.
And as I saw that, a little light bulb went over my head. It was an actual bulb. It popped right up. And I said, we got to get him on the show because we do a comic show. So
yeah.
Here it is. And thus here we are.
Yeah. So I occasionally do videos that are like several of them are that like health challenge based, quitting sugar for a month. But I also have another series, Why Do People Like? And so why do people like, what have I done so far? Why do people like winter? Because I live in Wisconsin and I don't like winter, but, but it's not always, or why do people like Apple computers? But it's not always like, I don't understand why you don't like it. Sometimes it's like, I want to get into this, you know? And comic books, I figure I make a video about why do people like comic books? Because I shamefully have not really ever gotten into comic books my whole life. Like I've read very little, and except for the past several months. Yeah.
Well, we are, Mike appointed himself as your ambassador, whether or not you asked for it or not. We are going to give you some recommendations. In fact, Craig, we have a photo of your bookshelf, which I have to say is a little sad. It's a little sad. So we're going to see if we can help you out loading that thing up. But Mike, you want anything to say before we begin to give Craig Benzine some recommendations for comic books? Any context based on your video watching?
Yeah, to me it's I don't know. It doesn't process in my brain how you wouldn't get into comics when you were like a kid or teenager. Like, did it just never?
No,
like,
I read. I did read.
Were you cool? Did you have friends? I mean, was that?
No, I mean, I grew up in a small town. We didn't have a comic book shop or anything. Wow. And like literally, the town was at this point is like 3,000 people. Is the town I grew up in. And I did read a bunch of Star Wars books, like Star Wars novels, and I don't know. I got into playing guitar and stuff, but I didn't have a lot of access to comic books. I liked comic book movies. There weren't very many back then, but I liked them.
See, Mike, that's what it is. Craig had friends.
Yes.
Played guitar. Played the cool. That's your answer.
There it is.
Craig was not lonely like we were, Mike.
I mean, I was a total lonely nerd as well. Let's not.
Okay.
I just
All right, so
didn't
here's
have
what
the
we're gonna
comic books.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna share. Let's see if I can do this right. We're gonna present. We're gonna share a screen. Craig, this is always an adventure. Seeing if I can actually pull the right screen up. There we go. Okay. So that's Craig. We did mention that you can find him at wheezywaiter.com, but also here on YouTube, looking for Wheezy Waiter. We will include that in the show notes, so you can find him at any point. But just Google Wheezy Waiter. He is on literally, Craig, every platform. It's just incredible.
I'm most active on Twitter and YouTube, though.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, Craig? I have to tell you, I just almost all but abandoned Twitter.
I mean, I totally understand that. Yeah.
It's just not fun anymore. I don't know.
I've been on Twitter since the very beginning, and it is not the same anymore. Absolutely.
It's not as fun anymore. And like, I try to block out political noise and
good luck.
And it still finds me.
It became, for me, it started out as like, this is fun. I can write some dumb thing and just see how the world reacts to it. And my very first tweet was going to the store to get food. That was my first tweet. That was and nowadays, if you're going to tweet, it's got to be like some sort of incisive critique of something else, or you're usually something angry. I don't know. It's much less just dumb fun. It's much more
rage tweeting is fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I still try occasionally. I mean, I tweet angry things too, but I try to bring dumb fun back into it as well. Like, I think I did recently. I think last week I just tweeted something about going to the grocery store again. I wanted to bring it back. Like, I'm going to the grocery store, and then I followed up with like, they had the good salsa this time, or something like that. Just trying to bring it back to wholesome, dumb fun, Well,
I have to tell you, what's funny about this, and I do want to get to the recommendations so we can tell you answers to questions you didn't ask. I have to tell you, your videos are deceptively simple. Like, I started counting how many cuts and how many different things were going on, and how much you planned and how much you did. You might self-effacingly say like, oh, it's good dumb fun, but like, there's a lot of thought that's put into those videos.
Well, thank you. I think there's definitely more now. It used to be dumb fun like early on, but like, I do spend a lot of time, more time on each video now than I used to.
And how often do you post?
These days, twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, basically. So.
Sheesh. Mike, we got to slow down. We're just giving too much content.
No, once a week. We're just.
I used to do like every weekday for like early on, and now, and I think it was important early on to do more, but now I'm trying to spend more time and make every one of them, like, try to make them like the best thing I've ever made.
Oh, see, that's what we don't do, Mike. We don't even try to make it good.
I mean, I fail usually, but yeah.
All right, so Wheezy Waiter. So, of course, you can find him here on his YouTube channel. A lot of fun. You do a lot of fun things with your wife, Robin, right?
China.
With your wife, China.
You're thinking of Batman and Robin, I think.
Comics on the brain.
At least I knew you had a wife. Okay.
Yeah.
This is your bookshelf, which curious to know, one, how you came to land on these, and 2, why Saga is out of number order, and that hurts my OCD.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think 7 I had on my nightstand, but I had to add it to the picture, so I just,
you were like, let me set up this shot.
Yeah, I just quickly put it back on the shelf, and I didn't think about where it went.
All right, so how did you land on these particular books? You got one nonfiction, you got Batman Year One, Sandman, Watchmen, Ducks, which is just, terrific book, but like out of left field continuity, and then Saga, which is probably one of the better relationship books. Go ahead.
It was really just recommendations. Like, people, I asked my subreddit and people on Twitter, and a lot of people mentioned the Saga. Like Saga kept coming up as like one of the best ones, and then Sandman. A few people mentioned Sandman. I've read Neil Gaiman, other Neil Gaiman. I just not his comics. And
so you read his novels?
I read Neverwhere, and
that was one of the best.
I think I read another one. I can't remember. American Gods. I don't know if I read all of American Gods. I read a bunch of American Gods, and I've seen the series, the Sandman series, and so I know I'm gonna like that one. I started reading it, but then I picked up something else because it was so much like the series that I wanted to read something I hadn't experienced before. I also interviewed this guy named Patrick Willems. He's another YouTuber who does like movie reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Super comic book nerd. And I just interviewed him about comics, and for the ultimate video I make. And can I interview you guys at some point? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. He recommended Batman Year One, and Understanding Comics also just came up as a recommendation a bunch. And so I've read all of these except for, I actually haven't read Watchmen or Sandman yet. I've seen Watchmen movie, and I've seen the series. I read Ducks, and I thought Ducks was great. Like, I'm surprised at how into it I was and how hard it was to put down. And Saga, of course, I'm really enjoying Saga as well. Like, it feels like it's like I can watch a TV show in bed without waking up my wife. You know?
Now, does your wife China/Robin read any of the comics as well? Because Saga is definitely feels like a relationship book.
I know. I tell her that I think she'd probably like it, but but she's not. She hasn't read any.
Maybe you should read it to her.
Maybe. I mean, I think you got to see it, right? It's a comic.
You can describe the panels. What's happening?
So my unsolicited opinion is I love Understanding Comics. It is a mind blower. It has influenced me as a writer. Year one, once again, you read that and you're like, you cannot believe that in the same year Frank Miller did this and The Dark Knight Returns. Mm-hmm. Sandman, I find the first 5 issues to be a hard read.
Yeah.
And then by 6 on, it starts to really pick up speed.
Uh-huh.
A lot of women like Saga and Sandman. Look at Russ being the ladies' man, knowing what a lot of women like. A lot of women like that. What else do they like?
Yeah.
Russ Wooten is an award-winning comic book letterer. We all worked together at a fan publication that was called Wizard Magazine. So we used to say we were what Rolling Stones was to music, we were to comic books.
Okay.
So we all knew each other. We all worked in the online division.
Yeah, Mike told me a little about that offline before we started.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but he doesn't tell a good story.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah. Sandman, I did it. The series is also kind of similarly like a little challenging at first.
A little
like,
sloggy.
Yeah, because it's like it's jumping through time and it's really throwing a lot at you really quickly. But
you gotta it feels like you gotta work and you gotta go like why does everybody love this? And you're like, it's like Game of Thrones. It's like get through the first 3 or 4, episodes of Game of Thrones, and then it picks up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've only gotten a little into the comic, but I know it'll get, I followed it a little more because I already saw the series and I know I'm going to like it.
Right.
And Watchmen, I hear the movie is not that different than the comic, or is that not true?
No, it's not much. There's a few changes, but basically it's the same. But I think reading it is so much better.
Yeah.
The amount of screen time they had was roughly equivalent to like 3 issues. This was 12 issues.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you go, oh, those giant leaps of logic that kind of didn't maybe make sense in the movie make a lot more sense in the comic. But the comic and Zack Snyder did a great job of visualizing the comic.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the movie. It's not a popular sentiment to say, but I liked the Watchmen movie. I find Watchmen to be a very long read. Like the 12 issues that you read there, you're exhausted. Each issue, you're like, I only made it through 20 pages.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was harder for me to pick up Watchmen and Sandman, but the other ones I devoured. So
well, let us entertain you.
Yeah.
Craig, we are live with Craig Benzine. Yeah. Okay, so Mike, I believe you're going to start off your number one recommendation. Go ahead, Mike.
The first one is Watchmen.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just one of those books where you just once you sit down and read it and you get through a little bit of it, you're hooked in.
All right.
All the characters, the entire story, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've only heard good things, and I know I'll get through it. I'll get there.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And then there's Miracle Man.
Okay, I'm gonna put that. I'm taking notes.
This one is a little bit of a slog to get through. There are certain parts where you're like, okay, I can skip a few pages here and there, but the overall story of who he is and what he does is another.
Yeah. By the way, it's the same author as Watchmen. It's Alan Moore,
right?
And it is. It's going to feel dated. It's going to feel dated because it is, and in a lot of ways, it was a really foundational read, like Watchmen was. Watchmen was the first real, true deconstructionist comic book series.
Yeah.
And then this also had a deconstructionist nature to it. Very powerful stuff, but again, dated.
Which one was first, Watchmen or Miracle Man?
Miracle Man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Uncanny X-Men. I guess you're telling him the Days of Future Past also.
Days of Future Past. Right, yes.
Mike?
I mean, this is I have 2 X-Men on the list, but this is one of those where if you had known the X-Men and like followed them for years, and then this issue comes out and especially with this cover where you see, old Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, and all the other X-Men, behind him, slain, apprehended. And you're like, what is happening? And when you finally read the whole story about what's going on for the Days of Future Past, you're like, this is what it's all about. This is good stuff.
Now, Craig, here's why I disagree with Mike.
Okay.
Because it depends on you having read up to issue 140 of the X-Men, and then all of a sudden this comes out and they leap into the future and we'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to think that this one is not going to have as much resonance for you because you're not reading like all along monthly like a kid going to the comic shop and then going, oh my God, they've jumped 100 years into the future.
Yeah. Well, I have seen, I think, every X-Men movie, and I watched the cartoon when I was
the Days of Future Past movie is pretty good. They change a few things, but generally it follows the story.
Yeah, I liked that movie. I thought it was good. So
it's a good one.
All right. So another one in the X-Men canon. Again, Craig, I'm going to disagree with Mike on this, but Mike, give it your best shot of trying to weasel your way through recommending something that you remember fondly from your childhood, but he doesn't. Because
both of these are very nostalgic. And again, if you had followed X-Men since, issue 1 or whatever, and all the characters and you love them, even just this cover, when you're like, that's Phoenix and she's dead and what's going on? And the whole Dark Phoenix saga of her going from, I won't say anything.
No spoilers.
Yes, no spoilers, but it's another one that will seem a little dated when you're reading it, but it's a good read.
It is good writing, Craig. It's really good writing. But again, I'm going to disagree with Mike because it's dependent on you having read other X-Men books, and then this just rocks your world.
Yeah, you should go back and read all the X-Men.
Okay, I'll go back. I'll read all the X-Men, and then I'll read this.
You know what rocked my world, Craig? And I don't know, are you still into music? Are you still a musician?
Yeah, sort of, yes.
Yeah, Slash just came out with a blues album where he jams with Demi Lovato. That's mind-blowing to me, and the song is terrific.
Oh.
A couple albums ago, he did a rock album, and he jammed with Fergie. You know what I mean? Like, that blows my mind. This won't blow your mind because you haven't been keeping up with the X-Men in 1981, 2, and 3.
But could I still enjoy it? I mean, I do know things about the X-Men,
Yeah,
you know enough about the characters to be like, okay, I get it. I get what's going on.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's
blow my mind. Dig himself out of this hole.
There's no hole.
All right. Go ahead,
then my favorite, Astro City.
Okay.
This Kurt Busiek basically started a whole new superhero town or city or thing that he was doing, and he populated with his own superheroes. And the initial run of this back in that was looking at late 90s, right, bud?
Yeah.
It just blew my mind. I knew everything there was to know about Astro City. And this one, Confessions, was one of my favorite storylines.
Okay.
So it takes just a couple of the superheroes and throws them right in your face and is like, this is what comics should be.
Seriously, as much as I hate to agree with Mike, Craig, Astro City is very easy to pick up any collection. They're all self-contained. They're all original comic book superheroes. It is an homage to superheroes. You can read it, but the writer, Kurt Busiek, is just phenomenal. He just does such a great job, and you don't require any pre-information like the other books like Mike recommended. Like you need Wikipedia open for these, you need to have seen the MCU movies in order. Astro City is a clean jumping on point.
Okay. I mean, I've never even heard of Astro City.
Oh, it's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So you tracking so far, Craig? Because once Mike is done, I'll start giving you good recommendations.
Yeah, I got them all written down, but with a lot of asterisks.
Yeah, just write Mike's in pencil.
Do not read.
Put it Mike's in pencils, write mine in pen. Okay, here we go. Where are we now, Mike? So we're going to go. I recommend Rachel Rising, a more modern comic book than anything that Mike has recommended. Mike hasn't read anything after the 90s. So
no, I have no idea what Rachel Rising is. And from that cover, I wouldn't read it.
So Rachel Rising essentially is a story, Craig, of a woman who wakes up in a shallow grave. She finds ligature marks around her neck and discovers that she is actually dead and has been risen to solve her own murder. So Rachel Rising is about Rachel rising to solve her own murder.
That's intriguing.
Yeah, I've been recommending it for a couple years now. Mike still hasn't bothered to get it out of his public library. But it's
write it down around.
Yeah, and it's humorous. Craig, you're a humorous guy. You're known for your humor. So is this artist. There's a lot of sitcom-y elements and then horror elements and then just intrigue elements. And I hope you check it out.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's like a woman trying to figure out how she died. That's
how she was murdered.
How she was murdered. Yeah,
she has to figure out her own murder.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Next one. Why the Last Man? I'm surprised this didn't make it to Mike's list. This was a TV show. Mike is Mr. Television, but this is what happens when Yorick, the name starts with the Y, is the last person on Earth with a Y chromosome.
Yeah, I'm aware of this one. Yeah,
this one you're aware of. Oh, okay. Have you checked this one out?
Brandon Vaughn, right? Or what's his name?
Brian K. Vaughan.
Brian K. Vaughan. Yeah, because he did Saga. So
he does Saga. That's right.
And other people recommended this one as well.
I like this better than Saga. It's to me, it's much more grounded. It's real time. It's Earth. It's not no sci-fi elements.
I think I chose Saga instead because this is a TV show, and I didn't want everything I had to already exist. Like as the
TV show for some reason didn't hold up. I don't even think it lasted a whole season. So this has a great beginning, middle, and end. It has a conclusion to it.
Awesome.
Also a TV show, Preacher.
Cool.
Brutal comedy horror by Garth Ennis. Basically, God quits heaven, locks the doors, and sends his voice down into a preacher in Texas who goes on madcap adventures with, this guy's a vampire. It's his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to find out why God quit heaven. So
awesome.
Quite the now I think Preacher lasted 2 seasons, right? Mike, is that
I think it was 2 seasons on the air.
Yeah.
What was it on?
I think it was AMC.
I think you're right. Yeah,
I want to say that. Yeah.
Okay.
I did not enjoy the TV series. I didn't think the casting was right.
Yeah.
But it was a phenomenal comic by a comic book writer who has continued to go on and redefine the genre. You can almost pick up anything by Garth Ennis, but he redefined the Punisher, which is what became the foundation for the modern version of the Punisher. But I picked Preacher over that because it's more organic,
mm-hmm.
And really just a lot of fun. This one I talked about in previous episodes. Again, I've recommended it highly, which is why Mike hasn't bothered to go get it yet.
I've never even heard of this one.
Yeah, it's called The Nice House on the Lake.
Uh-huh.
The best thing I can tell you to do, Craig, is don't read anything about it before getting it. It's a finite. I think it's 12 issues, beginning, middle, and end. It's one of those stories that you just didn't see it coming.
Awesome. I mean,
the
cover looks very intense.
It's very intense.
Flying.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, mystery, horror, supernatural. But the best part about it is, I got to tell you, this guy was firing on all cylinders when he wrote it. Found the perfect artist. It's creepy as hell. Is all I'll say.
Okay, awesome.
The Nice House on the Lake. Mike, are you going to check this out?
I just wrote it down, so I will give it a shot.
Yeah, and then all of these runes here on the top have meaning. The glowing, it's so good. Ooh. But speaking of so good, we did a full episode where we reviewed Harleen, which takes the history of Harley Quinn, famously portrayed by Margot Robbie, Mike's ex-girlfriend.
I was unaware. of that. Yeah.
Neither was she.
We don't like to mention that too much.
But they took Harley Quinn, and Mike and I did a breakdown of it. We did an entire episode on this graphic novel. We never did that before, never did it again. We were both so taken by the harmonization of the storytelling visually, because it was a writer-artist who did it. Right, Mike? Mm-hmm. I mean, bring it home with this.
It was a great. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
Yeah.
But as soon as I jumped into it, I was like, okay, this is great.
It is truly a modern, twisted romance.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Yeah. And that art there alone, right there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Berserker coming to a screen near you soon. Keanu Reeves is Berserker. He is, I will not give anything away here. He is essentially a killing machine. I don't know. Maybe a stretch for John Wick himself. Nobody knew they needed another Keanu Reeves action movie, but then you read Berserker and you realize I do need at least one more action movie by Keanu Reeves. Anyway, he co-wrote this.
Oh, he co-wrote it. Okay.
Co-wrote it. It's got a beginning, middle, and end. You can get in there, read it.
I mean, because it does look like him. So, yeah.
It is. The character's absolutely drawn to look like him.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the lack of vowels in Berserk. Yes. I really like that.
Yeah, Mike, I'm wondering, have you checked this one out? Because we've talked about this one as well.
I haven't checked this one out either.
You haven't checked it. It's going to be a movie, and maybe you could be a writer on the movie. Even.
They don't want me to write on the movie.
Yeah, they need a little comedy in there. All right. So anyway, Berserker, no vowels. Fables. This is kind of
heard of this one too.
Guilty pleasure. Yeah. It is essentially if fables were real, embodied, and lived amongst us. And it opens up with the murder of a fable. And Big B Wolf, that is Big Bad Wolf, has to work with Snow White and Pied Piper to solve a murder. It ran for something like over 100 issues. Every issue works. You could pick up any issue, but pick them up in arcs, but pick them up in first trade, second trade, just like you're doing with Saga.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, we're almost done here. I wanted to bring a little bit of funny because you are funny.
Thank you.
The original 12 or so issues of Deadpool, clearly some of the funniest comic books you'll ever read. And the movie, the two movies are coming, third movie coming soon, are clearly based on this original run, including Blind Al and the guy, the partner and whatnot, is based on the Joe Kelly complete collection. Mike, you read these when we were at Wizard, right?
I'm sure I did, but I don't remember much at all of them.
I'm sure I'll enjoy that. I like the movies, so.
Yeah. Well, and what's hard about Deadpool, I wrote Deadpool for a little while. Everybody puts their own spin on it, but I would say that this probably is the definitive voice of Deadpool, and we are all still trying to chase that voice that Joe Kelly started in the early 90s with this run.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the one here on the right is a throwback to the grunge era. It's by Peter Bagg. It's called Hate. But since you do that throwback to your 20-year-old self, you will see your 20-year-old self in here. This is grunge era. Buddy Bradley moves from New Jersey to Seattle and lives out the Seattle grunge dream. It is very much of its time. It's very funny, irreverent, and a whole lot of fun, right, Mike?
Oh yeah,
it's similar to my past I described to you guys, just moving with my band.
Yeah, like when you have your wig on, I'm like, we have to recommend Hate for him. And then last but not least, I wanted to give a little shout out. Hawkeye is a lot of fun. As you can see, it's got a lot of good visual. That's him diving naked, but they put the Hawkeye logo there. This was, I believe, My Life as a Weapon, which redefined Hawkeye as a character. A lot of flat colors, a lot of wonderful storytelling. The TV show kind of picked up later when he picked up an apprentice. But the first 12 or so issues here are just a masterwork that you just cannot miss. And it's funny, it's emotional, it's clever, it's all of the above, just like Mike Fasolo.
So there are 12 issues of it?
No, it's an ongoing series, but I would say the first 12 issues are probably the most raw beauty, perfect combination. It's sort of like early albums from your favorite bands, right? Cool. They just work. What's Russ saying here, Mike?
We got some recommendations from Russ. He said the Rex Nobody Asked For, Blankets by Craig Thompson, Turning Japanese by Mary Naomi, Love and Rockets by Gilbert Hernandez and Jamie Hernandez. Love and Rockets is great.
So just so you know, Russ Wooten, as I noted, he worked with us. He is a multi-award winning comic book letterer. So he makes comics. So he knows a lot about the comic book page himself.
All right. Well, I'm putting that down as well. I'm got notes here. I got notes. I didn't know I was taking notes, but
I didn't. I kind of think that this is the first time anybody's listened to us, Mike, and actually taken notes.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I may have taken notes during a podcast, but I'm doing it.
Mike, you're running. Yeah, you're running, falling behind on the quotes here.
Well, I wanted to give Craig a chance to write it down. Let's see, Glenn. Almost everything Rick Remender has done for Image Comics is really good. Fear Agent, Black Science, and Deadly Class. Deadly Class is good.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. Oh, and there's Russ.
There's Russ. Comic book school
equals homework. Yep.
Comic book school equals homework. Yep. I didn't know. Yeah, this is a lot of work, you guys.
All right. So, Craig, and we should note we're here with Craig, and you should subscribe to him on the YouTube. If you are interested, you can find him on YouTube with his 1.14 million followers. He is funny, entertaining, relatable, and he's even made it easy for you to give him money. He has a Patreon where you can just hand him money. Mike, why did we never think to ask for money?
Yeah, you should do that.
I think even if we did, nobody would give us any.
No, we need to get 1 million followers. We should throw it on the gauntlet.
If we get 1 million followers by the end of July, that's what we got to hope for.
Yeah.
I think you guys can do it. Start a Patreon. Do it. Yeah.
Craig, what have you learned this evening on this show?
What have I learned?
Yeah, what have you learned?
I learned that I need to read a lot more comics, and
I agree.
Yeah. I learned that I learned that I wasted my time in my childhood. I don't even know what I was doing. I played a lot of video games. Now that I think about it, I played a lot of video games. So
that's not a waste of time. That's actually time well spent.
But yeah, but I didn't read comics. So,
but now you have time to catch up, and Craig, I don't know if Mike prepared you for this, but probably did not.
Well,
So I'm gonna ask the question. I'll give you a second to think, and then we're gonna pull you up full screen, and I'm gonna ask you the question again because we sometimes subclip these.
okay.
The question I ask is, what is one thing you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
He did prepare me.
He did. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna ask the question. So we're here with Wheezy Waiter, Craig Benzine. Craig, what is one thing that you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
I'm going to quote Mark Duplass. He did a speech at South by Southwest. It's on YouTube. The cavalry isn't coming. So you just got to do things yourself. There's the back of my mind, even early YouTube when I was starting to get an audience, the back of my mind was like, oh, maybe someone will see this and they'll say, here's a bunch of money. You can do whatever you want, and that never really happens. And maybe you can get lucky. Maybe that'll happen, but it's probably not going to happen. The cavalry isn't coming. No one's there waiting for you. You just have to do it. and then people might ask you for help.
That is a great one. I watched that video. Everybody should watch the, what is it? 7 things you need to know.
Oh yeah. 7 harsh truths you probably need to hear. That's what
7 harsh truths. Yeah. Well, I'll put that in the show notes because no one will read it there. So at the end, I'll update the show notes and I'll put it in there so no one can read it. But I found that to be inspiring. I saw that clip that you put in there from that TED Talk. And I 100% agree. I think just do it. There's no more rules. I just think just do it. And see what happens.
It's even more true now than when he said it. It's like there's even more options for doing things yourself. It's hard to find an audience. It takes time, but that's the only way that I know how to do it. So, yeah.
Well, you found an audience, and we appreciate that Mike found you, and we appreciate that you joined us here tonight.
I appreciate that too. Thank you.
Yeah, your work is really was to me inspiring. Mike had been talking about you for a while. You got to check this guy out, and I
ignored me as always.
I ignored you.
You guys need to listen to each other. I think.
Why bother now?
Craig, Mike does the show under one condition, and that one condition is he doesn't have to prepare. He just has to show up.
Usually it's 5 minutes before the show. He's like, this is what we're talking about. I'm like, all right, okay, sounds good.
But in this case, Mike did make me prepare, and I watched your show. So everybody who has a chance definitely should check out Wheezy Waiter, follow the links, and do all the things that Wheezy Waiter tells you to do. Craig, we're going to put you in the green room where you can hide out for a little while. Mike, what's in the green room waiting for Craig?
We have asparagus and Vienna finger sausages.
Okay. I actually brought my own beer, so I'm going to grab a beer while I'm in the green room. So,
All right, Craig, hang in there. We're going to talk behind your back for a little while. We, again, want to thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me. Oh yeah. Thank you, audience. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I think my mom is in the audience. I see her. Yeah. Okay.
Is that right? Well, you are as nice on as a guest as you are in your videos, and it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us, and just hang out there in the green room, and we'll be there to talk to you. So he was genuinely nice and funny guy.
You're welcome. Yes. You should listen to me now and then.
You're welcome. Wow. That was cold. Did you see? That's why you don't have a co-host. This is why you cannot have a co-host. I think what I found out of Russ appreciates it. If Russ appreciates it, Mike,
then it's good.
Then it was time well spent because we strive to please Russ.
Yes, as we should.
But I think what I took away was Wheezy Waiter's been doing this a long time, a lot of commitment to his craft. You look at the earlier videos, you can certainly see this guy's working. And then what looks like a deceivingly simple, I'm going to talk to a camera video like we're doing, is actually quite complex. He
does stuff other than talking to the camera.
He's got the talent, and he's putting the work in, which is what we want everybody in comic book school to do, which is like, how do you succeed? You succeed by having the talent, nurturing with skill, and just not quitting. I mean, he talked a couple times about feeling like, he had plateaued, easy to quit at that point. Lots of shows quit, but, he didn't quit and he stuck with it.
That's like what we talk about. 2024. You got to do the things.
You got to do the things. I think. Hold on. Do we have that graphic? I don't have that graphic. I have the like, comment, and subscribe. Hold on. Let me do the like, comment, and subscribe.
You put that one up too.
Yeah, I should. We should send this. Craig, do you want to read any of the comics that I've written? Mike hasn't really done much with his life. Do you want to read my comics?
Sure. Yeah. He's got 3 Emmys. Come on.
Yeah, Mike's got 3 Emmys. He didn't sound that committed to wanting to read my comics, though. So I'm not.
Well,
sure.
you got to send them to him, then he'll read them.
Yeah. Now backstage, he's making
I do. I want to. Yes. Yes. Recommend them.
I didn't even recommend my own comics. They're honestly, they're just not as good.
I'll Google you later.
So anyway, and what I like about his humor is he's easy to watch. And again, I go back to consistency. This is the thing. Consistency in the cavalry is not coming is something that he reinforced. We talk about in different ways, which is to say there really are no more rules. And if you're looking for permission granted.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make your comic. I made a comic, Mike, and I'm showing this to Craig as well, which the Apocalypse Boulevard, I think, the only people that bought it were the people that backed me on the Kickstarter.
I read that one.
You did read it, and nobody else read it though. But you know what? You'll read it when I send it to you, right?
Yeah, I have no choice now.
Yeah.
I'll read
You don't have to pay for it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You have to do the work regardless. And I'm going to say regardless, not irregardless, because that's not even a real word. Regardless of whether or not you think people are watching or not, which we know is really hard to do. You just have to do the work. Russ, you haven't read that. Why haven't you read it?
You didn't send it to him.
That guy is the most... He gets so much free stuff. He probably doesn't even know I sent it to him already.
You didn't send it to him.
I'm going to send it to him and to Craig at the same time.
What you got to do is you got to send it to me, and then I'll just give it to Russ. Because if you send it to him, he's just going to see your name and be like, oh, this is something that I don't want to read.
He's just used to getting so much free stuff. He's been getting free stuff since the 90s. It's just all a giant blur. Hold on. Craig, do you get free stuff from people? Because we used to get free stuff.
Occasionally, I'll get some free stuff. I mean, especially from people who sponsor the videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you get like food stuffs?
Yeah, food stuffs. I have a fitness trainer app. They've sent me weights to use.
Oh, see, I wouldn't even open that.
You should see if you can get on DC and Marvel's sponsor list. Then you get free comics.
Well, maybe after I make my comic book video. Then,
yeah. Craig, what other free? Do you get free swag? Do you get like?
I made a video about why do people like bidets, and I got a free bidet. I got a free bidet sent to me.
Do you know now why people like bidets?
Oh yes, I mean I knew before I made the video because I went to Japan and bidets are amazing. Do you have them?
I do not, but
I don't have one, but I definitely want to get one.
Yeah.
You absolutely should. The whole world, it should be the only thing we use.
Can Mike just come over and try yours out?
Sure. Yeah.
I saw you pause there for a second. There was definitely a moment where you were like,
no, come on over.
Come on over. What could possibly go wrong with having Mike come over?
No, I have 2 now because they sent one. I already had one, and then they sent me one. So you got 2 options.
I can use the extra one.
Okay. All right.
By the way, I will note that Mike lives in a palatial mansion in the Hollywood Hills. Oh. So anytime you want to stop there and spend a little time, you go there.
But okay. I don't have a bidet. But if I know you're coming, I'll get one.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't come otherwise.
All right, so that's it, Mike, for our show. We want to tell people like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much to our guest, Craig Benzine, Wheezy Waiter, who was not just a great video maker and YouTuber, but also a really nice guy. Right, Mike? You did a good job bringing on a really good guest. Little applause for Mike again.
On the back.
Really good job. You did a really good job. So thanks again, guys. We will see you again next Tuesday. We will complete the things that we are complaining about in comic books. See you soon. See you next Tuesday. Good night, everybody.